And
now it says we are live.
oh, goody.
How about that? Although, honestly, I think we should have pre-show banter. Some of this is, if not entertaining, at least a smoother transition into actually.
Okay. So, welcome to SecKC Live. We have with us Ben Webb and Aaron Scantlin. And let me switch to my slide here real quick. And here we go. So this is SecKC Live, and we're doing SecKC AST, which is amazing shit today. So a lot of the news and information you'll find here is thanks to the SANS Stormcast by Dr. Johannes Ulrich. So check out their website. They have a really awesome podcast, and so good place to go. So we're going to start out here with malware, and there's been a lot of it this year. And so we're going to go over a lot of the stuff we've seen. So what do we got here? NIM, the NIM programming language. So this is something that's it's a brand new language, and malware developers are really starting to try out new languages. The neat thing about it, I guess, is that because it's a new language, a lot of protection systems won't see it necessarily. So I guess that was a hope in this case. So it's kind of a proof of concept that we've seen called NIMSA. We've seen some Xcode Mac developer malware. Aaron, you said you saw a lot of this. This is not a new thing.
Yeah, I actually missed the current iteration of this. I must have been sleeping on that, but yeah, I had a little bit of deja vu whenever you put that bullet point in there, because back in, I want to say it was like 2012. I might be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure it was around 2012. There was a big issue over in China with malware being spread via Xcode. And the reason being is that a little info for y'all if you ain't aware, but the Great Firewall tends to make file sharing an impediment in some situations. And so there are a non-zero number of situations where the sneaker net is a little bit more efficient than a traditional network. That is how that was spreading, apparently, as you know, the compiler was infected, and then it was a pirated version of Xcode that was being passed around to folks over there. So yeah.
Yep. TrickBot is a banking Trojan and has learned a lot of new tricks, one of which was to infect a system BIOS. So Supermicro, the server manufacturers, released a patch for their BIOS to prevent that from happening. So thank you, Supermicro. Let's see here. Apple Juice is a variant of that's going around. Let's see here. Quackbot. Another banking Trojan plus Cobalt Strike. We've been seeing a lot of, so that's on the news. And also, one of the things we've also seen is a increase in people are trying to use Python for more malicious payloads. So in this case, it's a Python keylogger. There was another bit of malware that was released. It first infects the system and then downloads Python so it can run the rest of the malware payload. So I don't know, Python is very popular amongst malware writers, I guess.
It's interesting that it downloads Python to do it, though. That's kind of
it's not a very living off the land kind of thing. That would be certainly something to look at to see if there's a sudden resurgence of interest in Python and people installing it.
See, I missed this one too. How are these dipshits getting infected with this? It's always the usual suspects, isn't it? Yeah, see, yeah. Exactly. That's what blows my mind about all this, right? We talk about in a lot of these segments, and hell, and even a lot of the talks we have, right, about malware that just, the things that the malware does, the things that TrickBot does, right? For example, it's fucking complex as shit. All right. But how's it getting onto the system? It's always the same dumbass shit. Someone's clicking on something they shouldn't have, running some executable they shouldn't have. It's amazing, isn't it? It's
booby trapped executables,
Right.
Unsigned code. I mean, it's just, it's
not nation state shit, ladies and gentlemen. This is fucking, Justin down in accounting who gets, screensavers sent to him by his grandchild every week.
Right. Absolutely.
Nice.
If you wanted to make this really interesting now, and you talked a minute ago about, experimenting with new languages, instead of something that was just living off the land or something that was like pulling down Python, just make it use what it could find. Just like, Python's one here, I'll run that. Node's here, great, I can run under Node.
Whoa. That sounds like that would take some sophistication and skill to build, Ben. So, all right, chill out, Dr. Crimeware.
All right. So, ICE ID, it's something we're seeing a lot more of. And I've personally seen this. We had an infection, and there's kind of a increase of form spam, where they find forms that have attachments, and so they attach the malware and put in a bogus form entry, and then somebody opens it, and they're really, because people don't set up forms correctly, it's kind of hard to track down. So that's something that's kind of in the wild. Oh, there's more. LokiBot has been seen in the wild. Gigaset is interesting. Gigaset is a mostly European cell phone manufacturer, Android, and their update server got popped. And so it had been sending out malware infested updates.
I think the big story there is that there were Android sets that were getting updates in a timely manner.
Yeah,
you are not wrong.
I'm not an Apple fanboy. It's a disjointed ecosystem, and I think the Apple's the lesser of two evils. I'll get off my soapbox.
Okay. Well, your Apple tax does pay for something. So, Spectre is a side channel attack against multi-core architectures, mostly Intel, probably all Intel at this point. I think there was some talk about ARM, but I think I don't know. I don't know where they are.
It affects AMD as well. It centers around anyone that uses, Intel's label for it is speculative execution, but basically that's what I learned through Spectre Meltdown. I don't know if everyone else already knew this, but apparently processors really haven't been getting any faster. We've just been basically trying to make them smarter, and it thinks, okay, you're going to do this, or this next. And it's wrong about almost all of it, right? But so it has to discard that shit that it was wrong about, and it's taking advantage of that shit that it's supposed to be discarding.
Yeah.
Right, but it's right more than you would think.
So this has been implemented. So it's kind of old news of that particular attack. However, it was seen in the wild in malware. So it's being leveraged.
Well, and Google released a POC of it. I'm gonna say March 12th, there was a POC that they put in. You can go out and do it with it's in JavaScript. You have to tune it to actually run on your machine. It's a non-trivial activity to get it to run.
Okay, so maybe it was just a proof of concept or something like that. But anyway, let's see here. Firefox, which is a rogue Firefox app. It's a malicious app that targets Gmail users and scrapes their mail account. So it takes control of your mail account.
It's a plugin, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So
I don't use plugins. Am I the only one that doesn't use plugins?
I don't use them either, but shoot.
I don't use any that add functionality. I use a couple to block fingerprinting and stuff like that. But
yeah, there's some web browsing stuff that is popular, but beyond that, using it as a program by itself,
no.
If you do that, stop doing that. That is doctor's orders.
Yeah. So, see, GULoader, Rimcos, a remote access Trojan. So that's been perking up its ugly head. Something we've been seeing is CDNs hosting malware, which is problematic because typically what will happen is that somebody, gives a internet service provider, a stolen credit card number or something like that, makes a cloud server, and then just dumps their malware on it, starts up a web server, and just downloads it from it. But you have all kinds of indicators that come from that, where it's a brand new, somebody's taken over that IP address. If they bought a domain name, it's a brand new domain name. So people block brand new domain names and that kind of stuff. In this case, it's an existing whitelisted content delivery network. So if you block a CDN, chances are half your shit will stop working. So you can't predictively block it, which is the problem. So
depends on the CDN, to be fair.
Yeah.
If you're at work, you can probably block Discord. All right. Yeah. That's, but to be fair, this is another one of those things that isn't new either. There's how many, I can't throw a rock in a meeting without hitting someone that gets, a Google form phish or the list goes on and on.
Yeah. Let's see here. So we have a couple other potential malicious things, but there's some proof of concept for injecting code into an RTF document. Essentially, you just put it at the end of the document and eventually it parses it. It is more an implementation hack of the RTF parser. And then text files, in this case, it was something to do with MIME types, where you set up a MIME type, you kind of hack the header inside of a file. And so you have a text file, but then it gets loaded into the map text edit app, and then it tries to load it as HTML instead because it has the HTML header, and then loads up malicious CSS calls, which start pulling in local files and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think you could actually drop JavaScript in it too.
So the news article I was looking at didn't go into too much specifics. Okay. At least I didn't go into too much specifics on it, but it's an interesting concept.
To me, these are almost the exact same vulnerability, just different file format, but basically the same idea, just
Twitter
different.
Twitter came up, had something similar where you could play with the magic numbers inside of a file and then name it a zip, and Twitter wouldn't check. So you could potentially upload a zip file as a JPEG or something like that, or vice versa.
Nice.
So what did we learn today, kids? Assume nothing.
Exactly.
And actually, hold up real quick before we hit that. Go back one. So he didn't call me out exactly, but I did expect someone to say something along these lines.
Okay.
So Codex Mafia hit me up on the Discord and mentioned, he's got password manager as a plugin, right? And what did I just do but shit on plugins? Okay, so you're probably thinking to yourself, well, Aaron, how do you pull that one off, huh? Well, let me tell you how I pull that one off. I want to plug this little tinfoil hat method that I have for having a password manager, right? because where does most of the bad shit on the internet happen? In your fucking browser, right? So why would I put my fucking password manager in the same thing that I surf the AIDS-riddled internet with? I wouldn't, is the answer, all right? How do I do this? I do this because I dedicate a browser to it. So some of you older folks that are tuning in probably remember Opera. Some of you younger folks have probably never heard of it. It's fine. Nobody fucking uses it. So what you do is you go download Opera. If you're going to use a browser-based password manager, go download Opera, go set up your password manager in that. And then what you do is anytime you need a password, you go click into your vault, you go copy your password, you tab over to the actual browser you're using for the internet, and you paste that password in there. All right. And at that point, the only thing you got to worry about is some clipboard stealing malware. But if you're a type of dumbass, it's clicking and downloading shit all over the place and all that, you got more to worry about. So there you go. Another life lesson from Dr. Aaron.
All right. So getting on to coin miners. A lot of coin miner activity, especially since Bitcoin has been through the roof, but a lot of other different coins out there. In this case, CoinHive was shut down earlier on, but it was, needs to be a t-shirt is what's on the YouTube chat here. It says the AIDS-ridden internet needs to be on a T-shirt. Nice. All right. Will do. We're gonna do that.
It's my contribution to the swag store. I'm sorry,
Hell
Mom.
yeah.
I want everyone to know, by the way, just so I'm buying the house that I grew up in, which means I'm in the basement that I grew up in, but my mom still lives here. So you hear me cursing and swearing really loud. My poor mother is upstairs listening to me. So just know that your enjoyment is at her suffering.
Well,
I love the
sorry,
story
Mom.
arc that you have now bought the house you grew up in.
They said they're
You can
sorry,
be in the
Mom.
basement.
I mean, I live with my roommate.
Mom, can we get some meatloaf?
All right. So CoinHive. So it was shut down, but a threat researcher was granted permission to get control of the URLs. And so he's broadcasting warnings to infected websites. So you had CoinHive shut down, but then you still had all this code sitting on people's hacked websites. And so that was nice. GitHub Actions. So GitHub has a feature that when you're checking in new code, you can go through kind of this programmed commit action. And one of the things that people figured out is that you could run arbitrary code. And so in this case, they found a coin miner. And so they just had the GitHub infrastructure running, mining some coins for them during every check-in.
That is a fantastic use of resources right there. I'm actually kind of impressed with that idea.
Yeah, it's gonna suck if people abuse it too much. The whole internet will be slow, and people will wonder why. And
right.
Well, it's because people are trying to.
Actually, coin mining is a very low packet intensive behavior. Most of the processing is on the client, and that's what makes it so valuable and cool. Also, you can buy drugs with it.
All right.
What would make that story better is if it was actually mining Dogecoin.
I don't want to talk about Doge right now because, as is the story with all of my investing, it's up about 3 times what it was a few days ago when I sold it. So,
well, in this case,
no, Doge.
Oh, Doge. Well, I was going to put in a blurb for SecKC coin, but I don't know if that's still alive or not.
Nope, but Bill owes me a lot of it.
Same here. All right, so it's patch time. It's Tuesday and it's patch time, and Microsoft has given us a wonderful gift, 108 of them. But so if you have an Exchange server and you haven't patched, well, you need to patch it. And if you patched it already, well, guess what? You get to do it again. So,
at least you have a lot of practice.
And unlike the last round that you've already done, that I hope you've already done, this round, your servers have to be at cumulative update 20. And if you aren't there, that involves a complete uninstall and reinstall of your Exchange server. So have fun with that.
So on our wonderful patch your shit list, we got F5. If you got an F5 big IP, patch your shit. If you got a Fortinet router or anything like that, patch your shit. Microsoft DNS server, patch your shit. OpenSSL, that's an interesting one. It's a denial of service. So yeah, if you got OpenSSL, which I know you do, patch your shit. NPM, that was a package manager for Java.
Stupid shit. JavaScript.
So patch it. Perl, they had the CIDR functionality of Perl had a security problem, so be on the lookout for a patch from Perl. MyBB, so that's a good one. So you need to patch that. I mean, anything. If you're running a bulletin board still, chances are you really, really should keep track of patching on that. Browsers, all of them on everything. I think everybody has released a critical browser update. So just patch all your browsers everywhere on everything. And patch it twice just to make sure.
And so
go ahead.
I've seen refrigerators now with browsers. That's why this is a bad idea.
So was it electric car manufacturer? Which one was that? That was Tesla. Tesla, they had a vulnerability on one of their cars because they can't patch the browser fast enough.
Totally believe it.
Yeah.
It nothing needs a browser unless you're using it interactively to do something very specific.
Yeah.
I'm tired of browser all the things.
Apache OFBiz, which is well, if you got it, patch it. Foxit PDF reader needs a patch. Adobe, if you're using Adobe anything, in this case, Cold Fusion, but if you have something with the name Adobe on it, just make sure it's patched. It's a good idea. Just
every
do
day.
that. Every day.
Yeah.
Wake up, patch
exactly.
your shit.
Wake up, patch Adobe,
Yep.
then have breakfast.
Exactly. We mentioned Supermicro. So if you got Supermicro anything in your data center, make sure the BIOS is patched. IBM DB2, old-fashioned overflow vulnerability. So there's a lot of folks that still use IBM, so patch your shit. Wireshark, that is a parser vulnerability. So if you're ingesting a certain kind of traffic, then it can potentially detonate and cause problems. So there's a patch for that. Netgear switches. So the UI for that needs a patch. So people are actively looking for it. SaltStack, for instance, it's one of the driving infrastructure pieces of Security Onion. So if you have Security Onion in your environment, make sure it gets updated on a regular basis. VMware vCenter, vRealize. Cisco has a lot of stuff that needs patches. So if you got Cisco in your environment, go through and patch it. It's a good idea. They have particularly a desktop firewall line or something like that needs some special attention.
AnyConnect is bad. Jabber is bad right now.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of it.
So if you got Cisco, make sure you're good at patching. QNAP. So there was a vulnerability discovered in old versions of QNAP. And these particular old versions were out of service, out of support. Well, they went back and actually released patches for all those old versions that are out of support. So yay, QNAP. QNAPs are a target of a lot of botnets because people use crappy passwords. So they get crapped on a lot.
Now that's part of it. And what I'm going to say here is going to be partially ignorance because I don't run a NAS, so I never pay attention to them. But on all the mailing lists I'm a part of, I do see QNAP listed in the notable patch listings quite a bit. Now I know that they're also the most prominent commercial off-the-shelf NAS vendor, so there's a little, it's not entirely unexpected, but by the same token, maybe I'm crazy. Someone else give me feedback on that, but I do see a lot of things being patched on their end, and I'm assuming they haven't figured out how to patch users choosing bad passwords. If they have, I'm buying stock in QNAP, son.
Nice. Python 3 had a patch released to cover a local vulnerability. I think it was some type of Stack Overflow or something like that. I don't know. So patch your Python. All right. Let's get on to spam and phishing and all that wonderful stuff. So tactics that have been observed in the wild. So we talked about legitimate content delivery networks such as Discord, Mailgun, JavaScript hosting services used for distributing phishing attacks. then the usual shenanigans of links to links to links to links. I think somebody had said something, the longest string of redirects and user clicks during a phish was like 48. So a
I'll
person,
also, oh, go ahead.
so a person actually received an email and clicked on a questionable link and then kept clicking through all the following redirects and other shit that they had to go through to bypass the mail gateway 48 times. So
I'll say for those of you that do incident response, that's definitely, it's been a common tactic for a while, and this may have been a common tactic that I'm about to tell you as well. It's just recently I'm seeing it. I use a lot of link unfurlers in order to figure out where things go, because that's makes sense, right? More and more recently, I am seeing what I assume to be checks on the server side, looking at user agent strings, and I am getting dead ends with the link following tools and getting to actual pages when I visit on, in like a VM. To that, to further that, I'm even finding that on rare occasion, if it's coming from, I work for University of Missouri. If it's coming from campus IP space, it will go to an OK site, which I think is a really interesting tactic, because you would think it would be the flip, right? If it was coming from campus IP space, you would have it going to the malicious site. But the COVID times are strange, my friend. Many folks are working from home now. And so if you think about it, kind of makes sense if you're trying to bamboozle the security cats who are probably working from home, right? You're on the VPN. So I found now I've got to have a second little box just kind of hovering, sitting around so that I can feed it potentially nasty links. Something to think about.
Yep.
That's an interesting thing, man.
Another thing is that has been seen is that breaking up JavaScript into different pieces. And so using the JavaScript hosting services, but not so the piece of JavaScript that you don't put all the JavaScript you need to make the phishing website, you break it up into pieces. So you have to go out and actually assemble the stuff in order to get it to work. So that's something that's been seen. Then also header and field manipulation, that's not new. As has been pointed out, you only need really a couple different headers to make email work. And so people are just cutting out everything else. And so that's made things very interesting.
Another tip I'll give as far as incident response is concerned, I won't say the same for Discord or Mailgun, because I don't have direct experience with that. But so whenever you get whenever a phish is reported to you, one of the things you're trying to do is make sure none of your dumb users click on it, right? Because everyone's got that dumb user in their organization. So how you go about that is your call. And some methods may be more efficient than others, depending on the situation, including depending on where the source of the email is from. SendGrid, as of late, has been, I've seen a lot of phishes come from compromised SendGrid accounts, but the flip side is that SendGrid has actually been damn quick at shutting down those link redirects as I report them. And I'm talking like 10 minutes if I respond or if I send them an email within business hours.
That's their bread and butter.
So
that is their biggest thing that they have to fight, which is in order for them to maintain their profitability, they got to be squeaky and clean.
For those of you that have reported, phishing emails sent to you from Gmail addresses, obviously we ain't saying the same thing about Google, are we? So, you wouldn't rely on that method to make sure that the threat is neutralized if they're the sender. But again, just another tip I'll give is that SendGrid seems to be real responsive, so that
Nice.
The report to sender route may actually have more value than it normally does.
All right, mouse spam. You're going to have focused spear phishing going on because of the LinkedIn breaches. We had a bunch of recent scrapings. So Facebook, all of that. So that's something that we can expect here. I think the LinkedIn phishing, I think, had to do with they were offering a job and you had to answer some questions, containing personally identifiable information in order to get this job. So
To add to that list, I don't know if anyone else has been experiencing this as well, but I've seen a pretty marked uptick in SMS spam.
Yep.
And,
Yep.
and so there's targeting, of course, there, but then there's also, statistical prediction, right? So not to flex too hard, but recently got me a PS5. And I was waiting on that, to get shipped, right? Because there's no way in hell you're going to find it in a store, but that's a whole nother story. So I get a text message at one point throughout the day as I'm waiting for the package to arrive, and it was one of those phishing, USPS, your package has been delayed messages, right? And I'll admit it, for about 2 seconds they had me, and I was like, "Son of a bitch, no, no!" But then I realized it was like, oh, blah 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 .info. No. So yeah, that's it's a smart move though, right? Because they didn't know I was getting a package or nothing. It's just that, again, the COVID times are strange. A lot of us are getting shit shipped to us now. So that's yeah.
And then of course your telemarketers, the automated telemarketer scripts have just been going off the walls.
The doctor's recommendation there is just don't fucking answer your phone.
Pretty much.
I mean, that's
people are terrible anyway.
Why bother? If it's someone that matters, they'll leave you a voicemail.
So ransom, leveraging customers to convince people to pay. So basically, ransomers will hit a company and then figure out who their customers are, and then reach out to them and kind of agate them to kind of help the company find the will to pay them. So that's been shitty.
Oh, absolutely. And now they're also doing DDoS for ransom. Like, well, we'll turn it back off if you pay us.
That isn't new. That's like, but at the same time, monetization of bastardry.
Yeah.
So. And this is one of those areas, one of those real interesting areas, right, where the business decision is pay the ransom, right? Well, for many businesses, it would be pay the ransom. The smart business decision, and I'm just speaking objectively here, would be to pay the ransom. But that's not, the right decision. That's not the morally upstanding decision to make. But still, that's one of those things where you can't, it's hard, at least for me, to blame a lot of companies. And then furthermore, let's not act like that's what your cyber insurance is doing, right? If you get ransomed and you have cyber insurance, I guarantee you your insurer is working behind the scenes to negotiate with the ransomware actor to try and get your data back at a lower rate. That's so you think you're protecting yourself. No, you're still contributing to the problem too. What would help is you just patch your shit.
Yep. So, and then all kinds of stuff like threatening to dump their data publicly. So,
they've set up their own marketplaces now. I mean, you can go out and hit the site for some.
They got their own tech support.
Their tech support is amazing. I have read through some of the like transcripts of people talking to them and like negotiating their price down and all this. And their tech support is better than I get from any vendor.
Oh, wow.
Microsoft could take lessons. Cisco wouldn't even know where to start. I mean, they're amazing at it. I want to hire some of these people just because they're so good.
Well, they say you have the triad of employment, which is you can either have something that's legal, that's well-paying, or interesting, but you can only pick 2 out of 3.
Right.
I like that.
Yeah. All right. Breaches. You're perfectly safe. Honest. I got all your data here. I won't lose it. Now, Ubiquity. So they kind of said, "Oh yeah, we had a breach, but we don't think it was very big."
It was with a third party.
It's a third party, and it wasn't that bad. It was that bad.
The third party was AWS.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, I'm not. All right. Before I get into this, let me just state I ain't dick riding Ubiquity. But that being said, all right, they refuted some of the whistleblowers' claims. I agree that they definitely tried to cover it up a little bit, right? That was fucked up, and that does make it so that you can't trust their immediate response that some of the things that the whistleblower is stating is not true.
Mhm.
I am very interested to see how this plays out, especially as a fan of their hardware. But this is one of those things. It sucks to see. It's don't meet your heroes kind of thing. Like, man. I hate if you ever anyone watching, listening to this, if you ever run a business, if you currently run a business, just tell the truth. Just tell the truth. If you got customers that leave, fuck them. You don't want them anyway. They suck. All right. You're going to increase PR in the long run. The real OGs are going to come buy their shit from you because they know you're down. That's just don't contribute to the problem. Don't be an asshole.
Don't be that guy. All right.
At least they said anything. I think Facebook what was it, 2019? When the scrape actually happened, and we're just now finding out. They've known for 2 years.
I don't honestly know that I give a shit about that scrape anyway. Like, I'm
The
sorry that was
scraping is interesting, but at the same time, this is like publicly available information. It's just like LinkedIn, really.
exactly 100%. I'm kind of not okay, is the aggregation of that data in some way, shape, or form possibly advantageous to an attacker? Sure, but I mean, this is hype blasting at this point, right? Like, it's like, we live in a society.
Yeah, pretty much.
Not wrong there. Not.
All right.
I'm not arguing that. I'm just saying that they knew that had happened. They knew people would want to know about it, and they sat on it for a long time.
So,
with kind of that justification of, well, it's all stuff that everybody knows anyways.
And they know that people are dumb and will flip the fuck out whenever they find out. Point in case.
yeah. So next on the list, here we talked about Parler, Mimecast, Pixlr, Meet Mindful, Bonobos, VIP Games, US Cellular. Yeah, I mean, really, what are we? What is the purpose of talking about breaches? Are we trying to shame them? No, it's just you might be a customer and not know. So
right.
Yeah, it's anytime we talk about a breach, it's more of an awareness thing than anything else.
Yeah, Croger. If you go to Dylan's, Croger. Yeah, T-Mobile. Oh, yeah, there. Yeah, that's kind of important to know. California DMV, California State Controller's Office. Kind of a bad time to be in California, I imagine. Hobby Lobby, Cancer Treatment Centers of America, Facebook again. So, and then we mentioned earlier targeting developers. And so we talked about the Xcode malware, the PHP repository breach. They're still digging into that. It's looking like there was a couple of compromised accounts or something like that.
They also mentioned, that one's fresh in my mind, actually.
Yeah.
They did mention that the malicious code never got pushed out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that at least is nice.
That's good.
And they pulled their internal repository down and made the one on GitHub official, I think.
Cool.
Yeah, for a language that's total dog shit, their response to this is actually pretty decent.
Yeah.
Well, they've had a lot of practice. And as you said, as long as you're honest and you learn from your mistakes, you know what? That just raises your value.
Yeah, we're saying good things about PHP on this stream.
Hell
all right,
yeah.
That point in fucking case.
Yeah, no.
So
everything like that is an opportunity to react well. We'll get to some people who didn't react well later.
Yep. Let's see here. Usurping existing applications and injecting malicious code is a tactic that has been popping up. So malware authors will buy up legitimate app software and then inject malware into it. So that's not new, but it's going on. There was a Python package name confusion where if you had an internal package repository, you could confuse the upgrade apparatus and potentially pull in a external packet instead of your internal from your internal repository. GitHub had a lot of lookalike malware repositories with malware pre-baked in. So people were confused when trying to build an application and would get the wrong package and get a face full of malware. So
It's essentially typo squatting.
yeah. Drama.
Is my
Aaron?
favorite part.
All yours, buddy.
All right. Actually, ironically, the first one is I'm totally leaving to y'all because I missed the EC Council one. I thought it was the kid diddler.
No.
Oh,
So EC Council. So the ethical hacking certification organization is the EC Council, and so they put out a survey on LinkedIn, which was misogynist. It basically, all of the questions, there was no reality involved. It was all misogynist, ends. So you'd think if somebody looked at that understood kind of what's going on nowadays, that they would say no. And then we get into bad reactions. So people started complaining on Twitter, and then those tweets were blocked and denied and deleted. You had it was just dealt with badly all over the place, and they kind of gave a half-hearted apology, and then somebody who actually developed it or said they did came out and says, well, it was all women on that group that came up with that survey, so it can't be sexist. Bullshit. So it was just kind of an exercise in bad corporate communication is really what it comes down to, and it's kind of left a lot of hurt feelings.
Yeah, it was terrible. I mean, two of the answers were basically the same, and both said because women are no good.
Yeah.
And then their apology
What the fuck?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I'm actually trying to find a good picture that hasn't been doctored, because the memes have been fantastic for it. But yeah, two of the answers were basically, it was something along the lines of, why do you find it challenging as a woman in cybersecurity? And there was it was like, is it because people think you're bad at it, or because you are bad at it? It was really bad.
No, God. So there's letting something out like that out of the barn to be seen in public, and then there's the limp response that they give.
I was about to say, I think I could even potentially excuse the initial issue as some ignorant moron that didn't. This is me thinking that people in the world don't suck, but not intending to put across what they were getting across. But then, yeah, if your dumbass goes and doubles down on it, no, fuck you, yeah. Big fuck you. No one ever liked your cert anyway, but fuck you more.
Okay, always never MFA found it. So yeah, it was only men can do the job, women can't do the job, or women aren't encouraged enough.
Oh no.
Yeah.
See, that's there you go. Like, that is, people might actually think I'm an asshole for this, but I see that, and I think, kind of similar to what we were talking about with Stallman before we got started, is that this is someone who is asking a question insofar as they think that I guess the respondents here, women can't handle the job, right? I assume that is the information they were trying to get. Right. I'm really hoping that is the information that they were trying to get, because it's the only excusable way. I feel like that's maybe what they were trying to get at. Terrible way to go about it, right? What do you do there? Open-ended question. Let them fill in the blank. You're not a woman. Let them tell you. All right. That's listen. Don't tell. Listen.
Well, and if you get called out on it,
exactly.
There's an opportunity to handle that the right way, and blocking the people calling you out is the wrong thing.
100%. Like, at this point, because they doubled down, we can't even in good faith say that they weren't trying to do what they were doing. That really upsets me and pisses me off. Anytime you figure out there's someone out in the world that's ignorant, that's upsetting. Okay. I can't take it from here.
Yeah.
I think I can anyway. I need a moment. I'm a little verklempt.
There's ubiquity, which we just talked about.
Yeah, we talked about that. Again, I'm gonna withhold opinion. I'm pissed at him for not coming forward clean in the first place, but whatever. Let's see if you're at least honest now that your toes are in the fire. So Richard Stallman, this is a dude who is super smart, but I'll say held because he has allegedly walked these feelings back. He expressed over email at MIT regarding the whole Epstein thing that, and I'm going to mince his words here, but it essentially suggested that maybe diddling kids isn't so bad if it's consensual. And someone very rightfully leaked that. And there was a lot of outcry, and people said, get him the fuck out of MIT, get him the fuck off of the Linux board, everything. And he was, for a while, kind of shunned by the community for those comments. He eventually did, release a statement saying, hey, I've had a lot of people talk to me. I realized that I was wrong, blah, blah, blah. Again, whether he's actually remorseful or whether this is because, oops, someone said that I think kid diddling is okay in some situations. So now I better walk that back. I'll leave that as an exercise to the reader. Apparently it was, I guess people thought we forgot about that, or because I feel like diddling kids is like a universal bad thing, right? Like that's one of the very few things that I'm pretty sure most people that aren't fucked up around the world will agree with is, yeah, diddling kids is bad. You don't want to do that. That's, if there is a universal truth out there, I really fucking hope that's one of them. Anyway, they brought him back onto the board for unknown reasons. There is no functionality or capacity that he is serving in that requires him to have this position. Should be real interesting to see what kind of shit show goes on over that, but yeah, kind of interesting.
Did you see the press release from that?
No.
I guess it'd be like the second or third one.
No, I guess not.
Because a bunch of people left. Apparently they hadn't even told the people on the board that he was back on the board.
Good. Hell yeah. Walk out.
Yeah. So a few people left, and then they're like, yeah, but we all they could talk about was like his vision. They couldn't really come up, articulate anything he was going to actually do. It was a bizarre response.
It's a real shame.
In small communities, you'll have personalities like that, which they're at the core of the movement, but they have whatever personality quirk. They just have that one thing about them that would normally prevent them from succeeding anywhere else. And so the movement kind of hauls them along, and they're kind of like the broken step. So it's like you live in a cheap apartment complex, and it's cheaper to tell people to mind the broken step than to actually fix it. So you have that kind of thing where the person's just been there forever, and it's too expensive to replace them. They're already an icon. So they just kind of give them the honorary position in the corner, and hopefully nothing bad happens, and mind people to, avoid the guy in the corner because he has problems.
The thing to me though about that is it's not about him, it's about the FSF. Because they didn't have to bring him back on, and they made that call. Stallman is Stallman, and I'll leave that guy alone for now. But why would you make let's bring him back in. We're doing fine, but you know what? Let's stir some shit up and bring in the guy that has pissed off literally everybody.
Well, there's also during that whole thing, he had lost control over his website or something like that, and stuff was posted on it evidently without his permission. So there's definitely some inflamed passions going on there. We won't know until somebody talks. So
yeah.
Yep. All right. So that was sobering and depressing. Let's move on to something that's also kind of depressing, but kind of funny too. So GitHub Arctic Vaults, for those of you that aren't aware about what this is, some of the bright minds at GitHub thought, hey, what happens if some crazy shit happened to the internet? And what would happen if we lost all of the cool shit that we do on GitHub, right? So these cats are, sitting here, man, we could do we should like take a bunch of code and put it in the North Pole. And they fucking did it, guys. They fucking did it. So what they did, they took, I'm going to use the term microfilm. It's not actually microfilm. It's they chose some kind of film that's like actually supposed to withstand like thousands of years of abuse, you know, to natural elements and stuff like that. And long story short, just made like a really high tech time capsule and tossed it up in the North Pole. Right. Cool. Right. How they did this is they just scraped a butt ton of public repositories to preserve the code that was on GitHub and, you know, be able to look back at it later on in the history of people kind of think, wow, we were fucking dumb.
Right.
Now that does sound cool. That sounds really awesome. That's like one of those like feel good stories. Right. Except, well, we're in InfoSec. Right. And I'm thinking that a lot of us in the back of our heads were thinking, well, not everything that gets uploaded to a public repo should be public. And if that's what you were thinking, that is exactly where I'm going with this. So there was this breach from a company called Meddata, if I'm not mistaken. And typical story, right? Some intern fucks up, uploads something into their GitHub repo. I'm not even kidding. They literally blamed it on an intern. Like, I'm not using a turn of phrase.
Of course they did.
Uploads some patient data to their GitHub repo.
Meddata 123.
It wasn't found out about until after the scrape. And while there is apparently still, it's not confirmed that this data is in the scrape that went into Arctic Vault. If we are to believe the dates that the scrape took place, the scope of the scrape, and when this code was updated to Med123's repository, it can be assumed that it was contained in that scrape. So this now raises a very interesting question that apparently fucking nobody that was smoking pot in this circle decided to think about was, okay, so like, what do we do if we need to take out one of the data? Okay, and that's currently literally what they're debating, right? So, you know, the thought process, well, do we fucking like open it and, you know, snip the film out and splice it back together? Again, I doubt you can like really do that, but I'm just thinking about an analog film metaphor here. They have to figure out what to do, right? And then furthermore, this isn't the only one that's in there. I'll bet a paycheck on it, right? Yeah. There's more sensitive info in there. So whether or not any of that sensitive info will actually have any value by the time, maybe that's the solution, right? Isn't one of our goals to make it so that the attacker goes, fuck it, and moves on before the data is useful? All right, maybe we just don't touch the data, right? If it's going to stay up there for 1,000 years, you know, Jane and John Doe don't care if you find out they had AIDS. They're dead. So that's fun. US Stratcom, this is actually a legitimately fun one. US Stratcom, this is the Twitter account for the arm of our government that handles our nukes. Yes, that's a thing that exists. I'll let you digest that for a little while. And I can't even remember when this happened, but they tweeted, it was gobbledygook. It was like, you know, take your hand, slap your keyboard a few times, hit enter in your neighborhood friendly Discord, whatever. That's what they tweeted. All right. That's representative of what they tweeted. And of course, all the conspiracy theorists just start collectively shitting their pants. What does it mean? What does it mean? It turns out it means that someone that is maybe not in charge of our nukes, but at least in charge of the Twitter account that, you know, anyways, in charge of Twitter, they left their fucking computer unlocked and their dumb fucking child pressed buttons on their keyboard and tweeted that. Okay. I mean, again, it's awesome and hilarious that this was the situation that happened. But I mean, you know, we got another group of kids that found that vulnerability in the Linux Mint screensaver like 3 months ago because they wanted to play hacker because they see their dad on the laptop. And that was, come to find out, you put enough monkeys in a room with a computer and they can find vulnerabilities. You know, that was, who knows what they, you know, I don't even want to think about what kind of remote access exists with respect to our nuke system. I'm just going to move on.
No, that one is beautiful because like in the next window was something far more critical than the Twitter account.
Oh, see, okay, I'm immature. My mind jumped to porn.
Well, also possible.
Like,
do you want to play a game?
And that's another thing, right? Is the people that are running our nuke systems probably are looking up porn on the same computer. That's isn't that a fun thought?
Well, at least as long as it's Pornhub, they're a fairly reputable vendor.
Ben, how do you know that?
They're the ones.
Never mind. I don't want. Nope. Don't want to hear it. We're gonna get shut down on YouTube. So the exchange, there was a proof of concept that was posted for the last round of exchange vulnerabilities, the ones that we told you should have already patched. Hopefully you have already patched or are planning the patch for the ones that released today. But the proof of concept that we're talking about is for the last round of vulnerabilities. Someone posted this on GitHub. This in and of itself is nothing terribly new. We see this somewhat frequently. Additionally, it wasn't a Stack Overflow copy paste proof of concept. All right. It did require some modification in order to actually launch, but the modifications that were required were relatively trivial. I was able to figure it out, which means that plenty of dumb attackers out there are able to figure it out. And Microsoft, I assume, issued a DMCA takedown to get it taken down. I don't know. They own GitHub now, so they could have just called up, GitHub and said, "Hey, Git, take that down." And then, make GitHub do it. And this, of course, caused a giant outcry from the, privacy cats, from the folk, that do process and, that person wasn't violating your terms of service, blah, blah, blah. And I'm going to take my organization's code off of your platform. Fucking have fun, buddy. That's the beauty of IT. You don't have to use that platform. Nobody's forcing you to do it. Your developers are all going to have to do a lot more fucking Googling now, but whatever, that's your problem, not anyone else's. I understand the kind of slippery slope that might be created by that, but at the same time, consider the fact that we still, at the time that this was posted, there were 150,000 Exchange servers known to still not have been patched against this. Again, my dumbass could have modified this proof of concept to make it work, which means that there are a lot of other people that could have done it as well, which means that, I'm going to come out and say it. Free speech be damned. There was something more to gain by stifling that free speech than there was by letting it go free. I'm going to say it. I am a firm believer in punch a Nazi. And this is one of those things. You can say whatever you want, but you have to accept responsibility for what you're saying. And if a group of people take a look at what you say and they think, this could actually fuck over a large number of people and have some really bad effects, we're not going to be a part of this. They have that right. Okay. Just like you have the right to post that shit in the first place. GitHub ain't the only place that you can post code. So again, everyone is entitled to their opinion on that. That's, I think no parties were in the wrong in what they did. All right. I want to be clear about that too. Let's see. And then we had a couple of I'll let
water.
I'll let Joel talk about the Kansas one. I know about the Florida one. So this one's so fucked up on so many levels, y'all. It's hilarious if it's not terrifying. So there's this water plant in Florida, and this guy is working the water plant, and he notices that someone RDPs into the water plant controller. This is apparently normal. This is standard operating procedure. In fact, this dude's manager remotes into the system all the time to make adjustments and do fuck knows what else. Except this time, the guy that was there happened to notice that the person that remoted in increased the level of lye being fed into the water supply by like 300% or something like that. So I personally call that a successful poisoning. Granted that it was reversed shortly thereafter, but it was successful. All right. So, but that's the kicker, right? The only reason that this was discovered, all right, you might be thinking, well, I guess if I hadn't spoiled it before, you might have thought, maybe they got caught by the IDS, right? Or maybe they got caught by some, endpoint agent that's installed on there that's performing behavioral analytics. Nope. They got caught by the dude sitting in the chair, and he watched that happen, and then he watched the dude log out, and he just kind of waited because he thought maybe his manager was testing something, and then it wasn't. And so he's like, well, that's fucked up. And then he adjusted it back down and hit up his manager and was like, hey, why'd you adjust the lie to 300% forward? And manager was like, I didn't, question mark. And then, well, we're here now. And that's not even like the whole story either, right? These cats are still running Windows 7. Okay. It's not like they came through any kind of, proxy to get onto the network. This motherfucker was on the wide open internet. Yeehaw. Joel, take it over. I need a breath.
All right. So we had a similar water hack. In this case, it's an ex-employee. They were let go, and so they were able to remote back into the plant and disable the water purification system. So they were caught, and they have been indicted. In this case, it was in the post-rock rural water system in Ellsworth, Kansas.
Oh, wow.
So this was in about January 2019. So it was a couple of years ago. Anywho, in this case, they didn't go into too much detail on how they gained remote access, but probably very similar. But anyway, so lots of water hacking going on. Potential poisoning even. Definitely intent for it. So
definitely intent, but I've always thought that there were a lot of safeguards that were like on premise that had to
well, yeah, it's a guy sitting in front of the computer that you're remote controlling. But in this case, there's a note here saying these small utilities don't have the resources to hire dedicated information technology staff. So you have lots of employees juggling multiple roles. With cybersecurity just being a long list of items to check on. Right. So essentially, they're just not keeping up with stuff.
Remember, by the way, this isn't some fucking t-shirt company or some, like mug customization company. These are the people that make sure that your water isn't poisoned. Okay, just go ahead. Let that, simmer a little bit there. Think about
definitely that. Let it simmer. Boil a little bit for about 10 minutes.
Exactly. 10 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. So add a little bit of bleach, run it through a charcoal filter, iodine for taste, all that kind of stuff. So keep that in mind. So when taxes come around and they're asking for some extra cash to hire a information security professional, just really enjoy that clean drinking water and don't feel so bad about paying the extra taxes.
Yeah, take a drink before you do.
Yeah. So community calendar. So first and foremost, SecKC, we're working on meeting and meet space. Yes. Zoom will not be necessarily fully involved in that meeting. We will be in person looking at, humans from not in front of a computer screen, but in person. So we need your help to do that. Please get on the SecKC Discord, check in, and let's see what we can make happen.
Yeah, this is it's happening again. I think many of us are already through our second vaccine or are very quickly going to be getting it. So soon it will be somewhat safe for us to be able to convene again. I will be the first person to bring up that no, we do not yet know authoritatively what the vaccine does with respect to limiting your capability to spread the virus. So that is something to consider, is that even if you are vaccinated, if you live with people who are not vaccinated, that take that into consideration for your risk assessment for whether or not you want to come back to an in-person meeting, this early. for those of you that it is safe to do so, awesome, come on out. I think we've at a high level talked about, are we going to require COVID passports? I don't think we are. And the thought process there is that if you're concerned about it, you will actually have your COVID passport. And if you're not concerned about it, come on in. I mean, if you want to die, that's your call. I don't give a shit. I do actually. I wish you'd reconsider, but just
the trouble is that it's not necessarily a person that is taking their own life in their hands. It's the people that you're potentially knocking out with them just wandering around infected. So that's the worry.
But that's what I'm saying at the meetings, that shouldn't be a concern, because in theory, the people that are attending are either vaccinated or don't care about getting vaccinated, and they have accepted that risk for one reason or another. Yeah. So, but yeah, we're all, at least, if we're not security professionals, we're interested in becoming security professionals, or we're, in some way, shape, or form interested in security. So one of the cool things about InfoSec is that you can apply it to more than just your work life, especially when it comes to risk assessment. So just consider all of the unique things that are involved in your situation, make that choice there. As far as where it's going to happen, we don't know yet. We got to figure that out, right? So for a while, we thought Kansas Hall was closed, and Kansas Hall, I guess, as we knew it, essentially is closed. If you haven't heard, if you're not in the Discord, turns out they have become an esports center now. All right, cool. Not only that, what was it, like the 4th biggest one in the country or something like that?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's kind of cool. I mean, most of us probably have, our own systems that are solid, but anyway, that's cool. And I guess I don't know if the bar is still there or not. If it's not there, well, we're going to go hunting. But if the bar is still there, well, we're going to talk to them. Now, that being said, even if the bar is still there, I don't know if Tuesday nights are going to be a not profitable night for them anymore, right? That might not be as mutually beneficial of a relationship as it was. So we might be looking around too. I have
lots of discussion points.
Yeah. I've recently moved back to KC, so I'm here to hang out with all y'all lovely motherfuckers for the rest of forever. But I have been gone for about 13 years, so I don't really know the lay of the land anymore. Now, I got this cute face and these sweet little dimples. I got a pretty high charisma score, so I don't mind going and talking to places and putting on the old Scantlin silver tongue and trying to see what kind of deal we can shake out. But I need your help in figuring out who I should be talking to. So that's definitely one big area that I could use your help with. I'm sure as the plan moves forward, we'll be having need for other bodies and all that. So yeah, if you want to help out, hit me up on the Discord, join the SecKC or SecOps channel, I'm sorry, on the Discord. Just say you're here to help, and we'll point you in the right direction. We'll get you where you need to go, buddy.
All right, community calendar.
One other thing to just say about the return to meet space, there'll still be simulcast.
Yes.
If you're not comfortable coming out, absolutely.
Yeah, we will be streaming, definitely.
And we will be, I don't know that we've even discussed this yet, but I'm making the executive decision. We will be mandating masks. Like I said, we don't know enough about the spread yet. And so until we have more of that information, I don't care if everyone in that fucking room is vaccinated, you're all putting on masks. So yeah.
Okay. Anything else? All right. The community calendar, regional, B-Sides Kansas City is September 24th and 25th. SecKC, call for presenters. So if you have that interesting thing that you know how to do uniquely, pass it around. So check in with us at seckc.org. There's a speaker sign up there, and give us an idea of what you're interested in talking about, and we can make that happen.
And it does not have to be like super high-end 0-day release kind of thing. A lot of the most popular stuff that you find is like introduction. Like, hey, here's how DNS works. Here's how SSL works. Here's what Kerberos means. Yeah. Things like that.
Tool talk.
Yeah, we've had some huge speakers in our history, right? Not everyone is a John Strand. Not everyone's, a Bill Swearingen, right? That ain't everybody. Go look on our YouTube channel and go look at some of the talks I gave back in like 2016. All right. We ain't all Bill. All right. But don't let that stop you from submitting a talk. And
this is the perfect place to test and to train yourself to speak in front of a crowd.
As someone who has struggled with anxiety and self-loathing for a really long time, I am oftentimes my own worst enemy. And eventually, someone told me a long while back, and I've been telling everybody this ever since, it's not your job to think about whether or not your talk is good enough. All right. Your job is to put the content together and submit it to the organizers. All right. It is the organizer's job to decide whether or not your content fits their event. Okay. So, and even if you do get told, no somewhere, that's not a bad thing either. Hopefully they provide some constructive criticism as well. And, you build upon it and, try again later. But,
that's the key thing, is build upon it. Is that if you don't succeed, figure out why. When you encounter a failure in life, that is one of the most important teaching events you'll ever experience. That is going to teach you something very important. And so if you fail, don't worry about the results of, being a failure. What you need to do is take everything that you can learn from it, because that is one of the most valuable experiences that you're going to have in your life. It'll teach you a lot about yourself and about others.
If you're nervous about submitting your first talk, shoot it to me first. I'll look it over for you. I got no problem with that. I told y'all, I'm kind of a dummy. I'm a great first person to look over, an intro talk or something like that. Because if you can get it through my thick skull, yeah, that means you're probably going to get it through everyone. All right. You're going to be good. So yeah, don't be down on yourself. Don't, if you think, it was years before I submitted my first talk, because I fell into the trap of, oh, well, if I know it, well, fucking everybody knows it. Right.
Yeah,
and
even start with a little 5-minute turbo talk or 15-minute turbo talk. Yep. And grow out from there. Yep. So yeah, if you got ideas, check us out, talk to us on Discord, go to SecKC.org. See here, SecKC Live. As you've noticed during COVID times, we haven't always had a show every month. So we're hoping to change that. And so that's what SecKC Live, that's what, here, I'll go back and, yeah. So we came up with a title this afternoon, and so we get to gaze upon it. The amazing shit today, SecKC AST. So, but this is, all it is I'm just going down the list of news articles. Really, the magic here is the discussion that we have when we talk about it and all the things that come from those experiences, those events. So if you would like to join us on the SecKC AST, check in with us on Discord or contact me. And on Discord, I'm Disp Asmodean X. And we can make this happen. So you're certainly always welcome. Next on the list, CCCKC, Cowtown Computer Congress, Kansas City. So CCCKC was Kansas City's hackerspace for quite some time, and then kind of went dark for a while. And so we've been in safe mode for quite some time. And so we're starting up meetings again. So check in with us at groups.google.com CCCKC. So G/CCCKC. And you can catch up with us at our next virtual meeting. Kansas City 2600. We have been active in Kansas City for quite some time. First Fridays of the month at 6 p.m. at Oak Park Mall, but we're also hybrid virtual. So check in with us on the SecKC Slack in pound 2600 meet space.
Joel, for any of the new cats, you want to explain a little bit about what 2600 is?
2600. So 2600, the Hackers Quarterly, is a magazine that has been in circulation since like the beginning of the 80s. And it covered a lot of hacking, freaking, and all kinds of underground stuff. So if it was dealing with blue boxes and hacking the telephone company, or hacking computers, or anything, that was pretty much the one quarterly news source that you had, because we didn't have the internet back then. Over time, it's kept on kicking, and part of that is setting up groups. And so at the back of every magazine, you have a local users group. And so first Friday of the month, people come together and talk about, hacking. So check in with that. You'll find that at a lot of bookstores. You can also get it electronically nowadays. And it's, there's political stuff in it, but at the same time, it's, important information. And it's just like SecKC with, asking for talks. It's just people communicating new and interesting thoughts and ideas. And so it's a great quarterly magazine to take a look at. And then we have a group here in Kansas City, and we meet first Friday every month at 6 p.m.
Cool. I'm finna get started with that personally. So there you go. And that's another thing. There is a channel for 2600 in the Discord. Yep. So again, you can join that if that sounds cool. And if you're nervous about, getting more, I guess, involved with any of the, little subsets we've got going on in here too. Like I said, I think I'm going to start joining this group because now I'm in town. Now I can actually, participate a little bit more actively. So yeah, if you're nervous about joining a little subset alone, maybe come join 2600. Come on, I'll be loud enough for all of us.
Get a coffee, or if you're not in the area, join us virtually and we'll talk about shit. National DEF CON. So August 5th through 8th, 2021, defcon.org. So it is on. They haven't indicated that they're doing anything else. So it's on like Donkey Kong. We're going. So I think, Aaron, you had kind of some plans for traveling.
Yep, I was going to plug that too. If you haven't checked out the DEF CON 29 channel in the Discord, that exists. Go check that out. I like to road trip out there. I don't know. I've always loved driving personally. And if you've never made that drive, it's very beautiful. If you leave at the right time, you got to make sure you're not going through the beautiful parts in the middle of the night. But,
Kansas, if you take the Kansas route, it's better to go at night.
Exactly. You start at night. Yeah. You start at night, and then you wind up. The only terrifying thing about starting at night is that you wind up driving through the Rocky Mountains in pitch black fucking darkness. And let me tell you, friends, you haven't lived until you've driven a fully loaded rental van up and down the Rockies without, oh my God, dude. Like that might have been the closest I've come to legitimately shitting my pants as an adult out of fear. Man, I swear I'm a good driver. No, it'll be a lot of fun. We are figuring out kind of what the rough interest in a road trip crew is. Historically, we've taken, small cars. But if there are enough folks that are interested, that might make renting a van a possibility, and splitting gas all the way down it's cheaper than flying. The trade-off, of course, is the time investment. So it does take roughly 18 or so hours, if memory serves, to get out there. When you include stops and everything like that. Now, of course, the joy is that I believe many of our employers are way more accommodating when it comes to remote work. So I don't know about you, but that sounds like the most fucking awesome cube for a work day that I've ever heard. Y'all just tether and fucking bitch about your users in the van, and oh man, this might be the first year that I don't want to drive because I want to be a part of that. Look what this fucking idiot fell for. No, if you are one of my users, I would never, ever show your name. I would totally call you out for being a fucking idiot, but I would never betray that it was you who were the fucking idiot, just that I helped one. But yeah, road trip is definitely going to be on. It's just a matter of whether it's going to be big car, small car, series of cars, whatnot. We will plan to leave Tuesday of that week, and historically I've left on Sunday, but I'm interested in leaving on Monday maybe this time. So if I were you and I were planning your vacation time, I would take off Tuesday, what would that be? The 2nd through, I would take it through that, the next Wednesday, honestly, just to give yourself one good day of rest, because you're probably not going to get much rest on the way home or anything like that. Yeah.
Or you could split it up where you can take the flight out of town.
You can do that, but you're paying a share
Yes,
of the van as if you were
exactly.
riding back. So
Yeah.
granted, that's, you wouldn't be out a whole lot of money for that inconvenience. But anyway, let me know if you are interested in that. I'm kind of keeping a rough count in my head, and I'll get louder about it as we get a little bit closer to DEF CON as well.
All right. Well, I think that does it for our content. Do we have any more community calendar items or any other news items?
Not that I can think of. And depending on what the delay between us and YouTube is, we might not have community input on that either.
All right. Well, let's here, give it a minute or two.
We'll see. I'm interested in, I can't figure out where the stream might be current. I guess I could, like open a tab and just go to the stream, but
You could use that copy of Opera you keep.
no, were you not listening earlier when I said that you don't do anything else with that browser? That's the point. You don't surf the web on it. You don't shit where you eat.
All right. So I don't think we have any other notes here.
Nope.
So for people who joined us in our SecKC live channel, thank you very much for watching. And our next show, I think we have, I think I'm talking next show. So we're going to have a show next month. So
that is the plan.
Yeah. So like I said, if you have good content or just any content or just want to practice, just let us know. We'll give you a hand. We should be having our normally scheduled SecKC next month. So until then.
I will say real quick, in the meanwhile, if you do have feedback on how this format was, if you liked it, didn't like it, what you liked about it, what you didn't like about it, et cetera, we would obviously be very interested in knowing that as well.
Absolutely.
I think this was definitely fun. I saw some comments in the Discord saying that they thought, this was nice, chill, relaxing atmosphere. So great to hear the affirmation that we did something that was entertaining and enjoyable for y'all. But I would also be surprised if we did everything perfect. So, let us know what realistic things we can do to make things better. Because I know some assholes going to, say some ridiculous stuff. Yeah, I don't even have a good example for it. Just, give us the feedback, please.
All righty. Well, I don't think we have anything else. So
All right.
Until next month.
Hey, and Joel,
Go ahead.
thank you very much for putting this together. This was really your idea.
Yeah, that's a good point. So we didn't even call that out. Joel put this together pretty quickly because he saw the need. He was like, "Oh, we can't do this. We can't skip again." No. And Joel, for those of you that don't know, has been our streaming wizard du jour. He's been doing this since we were doing it in person. He's really stepped up since we've started it on COVID and tried to make sure that people can still participate, watch, all that. So again, Joel is oftentimes one of our unsung behind the curtain heroes. So whenever we go back to in-person meetings, or if you see him in the Discord and stuff like that, slap him a 5, buy him a beer. I think he drinks. Hook him up. Like he doesn't get a lot of, comments usually, but he is integral to the success of SecKC.
Well, thank you. All right. Well, I think that's it. Peace out, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.